time, one more 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 time. Say it loud. Show me what you got. Show me what you got. One more time, 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 make it hot. Show me what you got. Show me what you got. Show me what you got. Make it hot. Show me what you got.
Welcome back. You man, Diamond K in here, of course, the Diamond K Show on ONFIRE-TV.com. Early voting is underway here in Maryland for the 2024 primary. This is a very important election. Obviously, this is election for the primaries for the president, for mayor, for the president of the city council. Lot of important races, and this is just early voting. You have time from May the 2nd to May the 9th. Early voting is going on each day, including Saturday and Sunday. No excuses. 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we're going to be talking about election-related stuff today. We're going to be talking about early voting. I get a chance to talk with Marylanders all the time. And some don't understand the importance of the election. Some do understand, but admittedly, they don't feel like they know enough about the process, about the candidates. So we're going to try to help with that. And, of course, folks can reach out to me, djdiamondk@gmail.com, on all social media at The Diamond K Show. Like, if you have questions, behind the scenes, folks may want to ask a question or whatever, and I'll talk to anybody about it that has questions. And I tell people all the time, if I don't have the answer, I will get the answer for you. But on this election-related stuff, I can be a great resource. So voters can cast ballots at an early voting center in their county of residence. So whatever county you live in, you know what I mean? Please note that some locations have changed. There are some new locations since the last election. So why? Why is there early voting? There's early voting because, coincidentally, sometimes the lines are long during the primary. So they give us this opportunity. One of the other good things that came out of the COVID pandemic was this understanding that folks really need this extra opportunities to vote, give them the chances to vote. So we have this week, including the weekend, where folks can vote. I definitely encourage every eligible voter in Maryland to make the plan to vote, and early voting is a convenient option. What's wrong with that? Some folks don't want to be early for anything, right? Some people don't like to be early, but early voting is easy and it is convenient. Easy and convenient. Early voting allows voters to ensure their vote is heard. Now, casting your vote during a time that best works for your schedule. So maybe election day, doesn't work for you. Maybe Tuesday is for tacos and you got something planned, and election day doesn't work for you. You can vote on the weekend. You can vote at a time when it is convenient for your schedule. Now, Marylanders who are currently not registered to vote can register and cast a ballot the same day in person during early voting at any early voting center in their county of residence. Let me say that again. Marylanders, right? You live in Maryland and you currently are not registered to vote. You can still register and cast a ballot the same day in person during early voting, right? Now, this is at any early voting center in your county of residence. So if you wanted to vote, you were procrastinating, for some reason you did not register to vote, and you're saying, oh, I was going to register, didn't register, you can still register, right? You can still register. And you can cast that ballot same day during the early voting time at any early voting center in the county that you live in. In-person same-day registration and voting also takes place on primary election day, May the 14th, at the voters' polling place. So you can get involved in the process. You can participate in the process. And for folks that live here in Maryland, this is a very important election. Now, when it comes to mail-in voting, Board of Elections across Maryland have already started canvassing ballots. I know a lot of folks who already voted. These ballots must be returned by May the 14th, either postmarked by or before 8 p.m. on May 14th, or placed in a ballot drop box or submitted in person to a local Board of Elections office by 8 p.m. on May the 14th. But why wait? You can make this happen now. As of this broadcast, early, the polls are still open. Today was the first day. Today was the first day. What is it like, bro? It says anybody but Brandon Scott. Okay, all right. Anybody but Brandon Scott. Why don't you like Brandon Scott? I got through having a talk with a senior couple who are split. Right, one supports Sheila Dixon, one supports Brandon Scott. It was very interesting, and they were super funny about this. Whoever you vote for, just make sure that you vote. That's all I'm saying. Make sure that you participate in this process. Early voting underway. First day of early voting. The Public Safety Training Center in the 3500 block of West Northern Parkway is one of 8 early voting centers in Baltimore City. And it was one of the busiest this afternoon, according to election officials. So folks are out. I am hoping that Maryland defies past numbers and folks get out and vote a lot. A lot of folks get out and vote. Now, in the first 3 hours, nearly 700 ballots had been cast citywide. First 3 hours. That is off to a good start. So far, off to a good start. First day of early voting. And so on YouTube, midlife bro Logic says, he said straight white men should be afraid, and that is his purpose in life, for starters. Okay, you're referring to Brandon Scott. Brandon Scott said that straight white men should be afraid. When did he say that? When did Brandon Scott say that? I missed that. Did he say that? Where did he say that at? Tell me more about this. Midlife bro Logic on YouTube. Yes, so that is interesting. But as I said, as of the first 3 hours of early voting today, 700 ballots had been cast citywide. A long way to go there, but it is an easier process than it has been previously. Lunch and dinner time are the busiest, according to officials, as most voters arrive. Campaigning has been ramping up outside. Electioneering took place far from the entrance where folks are voting. So there's secure drop boxes for mail-in ballots. You have a lot of options, and it is relatively easy. If you are in Anne Arundel County, you can call 410-222-6600. Baltimore City number is 410-396-5550. Baltimore County 410-887-5700. So let's see, what is YouTube saying? This is midlife bro Logic says yes. And when he was on with Joy Reid talking about Brandon Scott. So you are not a fan of Brandon Scott. Understood. Also info Carroll County, 410-386-2080. Harford County, 410-638-3565. And Howard County, 410-313-5820. All right, so tomorrow joining us on the show is going to be a Democratic candidate for mayor of Baltimore City, Bob Wallace, is going to be joining us on the show tomorrow. So I am looking forward to that discussion. He is a friend of the show. He's been on with us before, and Cherry Hill's own Bob Wallace is going to be through the show tomorrow. Did I say through? I wasn't tired. I didn't mean to say through. Did I mean to say through? All right. Since we're talking about, since you brought up through, we're going to talk about another friend of the show. I'm going to say he's a friend of the show. Thiru Vignarajah, as of yesterday, drops out of the Baltimore city mayor's race. I have to say I was surprised to see that he was dropping out. I was surprised to see that. So I'm looking at some of these YouTube comments. Monica, host of Swap Radio, says, I don't know why people hate Brandon Scott so much. I think it's because they really don't know politics. Okay. So Monica from Swap Radio standing up for Brandon Scott. So yeah, why do people hate Brandon Scott? There's a lot of people. He has made some enemies. I will say that. The machine. See, he's the mayor, but it seems like a big part of the political machine here is against him, right? So you have Ivan Bates, the state's attorney, endorsing Sheila Dixon. Obviously, you have Sheila Dixon endorsing Sheila Dixon. And also we're talking about Thiru Vignarajah, who as of 2 days ago was running for mayor, and now he has not only stepped down from running, but he is endorsing Sheila Dixon. Monica SWAT Radio says, I'm not surprised. He's a quitter. Oh, wow. Of course, he wasn't going to see it through. Monica coming down hard on Thiru Vignarajah. He, I said, Thiru's been on the show before. His father has been to the studio with him during one of his races. So I've talked to Thiru Vignarajah, and he's an attorney. So attorneys, you got a couple of different types of people when you're attorneys, and some folks have this expression called an ambulance chaser, right? Somebody that's looking for somebody that wants to sue, and then and he comes off like that to some people. So I can understand why some people look at Thiru Vignarajah funny, right? And so I watched his press conference yesterday with Sheila Dixon and Thiru Vignarajah. They both look uncomfortable. They both looked uncomfortable during this process, but they're having a conversation where Vignarajah is endorsing Sheila Dixon. Now, they have talked about each other bad, as it happens during races. It happens during campaigns. People talk crazy. But I was talking to a candidate earlier today, and she was kind of, voicing some of her frustrations with different things that happen along the course of a campaign. And I told her something that she already knew, which is there are no permanent enemies in politics. It's just about whether or not your goals align at that moment. And with regards to Sheila Dixon and Thiru Vignarajah, while they just debated each other the day before, and they have said a lot of mean and nasty things about each other through the course of this campaign and this race, they found themselves with their goals aligned and standing in a joint press conference. And they were talking greasy about the mayor, Brandon Scott, talking greasy. So, of course, the mayor is going to fight back through his surrogates and through his his campaigns. He's not going to say this stuff. But now questions have arisen about Thiru Vignarajah's endorsement shortly after he dropped out of the race. Folks are saying, was his endorsement for sale? Is this a shady deal? And, they've accused Mayor Scott of shady deals, like with the Inner Harbor proposal and some others. Thiru said this, he has never done this before, talking about what he considers bittersweet news. This was, as you might imagine, not an easy decision. I can understand that. I can understand why it might be a difficult decision. A lot of money was raised, a lot of time and effort put in. I've gone to some campaign events and some debates and some candidate forums. I saw the infrastructure that he had as far as the people that he had. You can always tell what the ground game is of a candidate at a candidate event, because they're going to be these folks that don't look like they belong necessarily in the neighborhood where the event's taking place, and they may have on a t-shirt for the candidate, or they're passing out flyers, and you're like, this person is part of the candidate's team, right? They're not a member of the community or something. So you can kind of see, and he always has a lot of different folks around. But for whatever reason, his campaigns have not caught on. Why is that? Why do you think that is? Why is it that Thiru Vignarajah, who is a smart, educated guy, why has he not been able to connect with voters? It's a very interesting question. And I think it comes down to messaging and perception. He also has aligned himself with folks that I don't know. He aligns himself with Fox 45. I'm going to say this, right? But Sheila Dixon has been popping up on Fox 45 as well. Why do I bring up Fox 45? Fox 45 is a conservative-leaning outlet. It's a Republican-leaning outlet. They come down hard on whoever the mayor is or has been. We've been having Democratic mayors, and if you've noticed, they've been hard on all of them, every single one of them. And on YouTube, Midlife Bro Logic says, I would rather have Wallace than criminal Sheila. I thought you said anybody. I thought you said anybody but Brandon. Now you said anybody but Brandon and Sheila. Bob Wallace is an old school kind of guy. I was speaking. Somebody called me today. A friend of mine called me, he's more of a sports guy, but he's been asking me questions about the election, right? And candidates, and he was asking me about Bob Wallace. And he said, I saw you posted something about Bob Wallace. And he said that he saw TV Biddy post something about Bob Wallace. Monica from SWAT Radio sent me this clip of a commercial, so social media video where TV Biddy and some others are endorsing Bob Wallace. And so first I had to correct my homeboy and say, look, I don't work for Bob Wallace's campaign. I don't work for any of the mayor candidates' campaigns. So I was just posting that he's going to be on the show. And he was like, when's he going to be on the show? And I said he's going to be on the show on Friday. And so he was asking me questions about Bob Wallace and who was Bob Wallace. So I told him, and I've interviewed Bob Wallace before. And I told him that Bob Wallace is a successful businessman. He's from Cherry Hill. And he ran for mayor in 2020 as an independent. Now he is running as a Democrat. And Bob Wallace has some good ideas, but he doesn't have the name recognition that some of these other candidates have. So it's going to be a tough battle for him because he doesn't have that name recognition. And the thing about name recognition is, you may say, why does name recognition matter? Because he has money, right? Like I said, he has several successful businesses, but you need name recognition because the average voter does not pay attention to politics every day. They pay attention to politics. So a great number of the electorate pays attention during election time. So they're going to be looking for people that they recognize. They're going to be looking for names. They're going to be skimming, looking for names that they recognize. And so that's why you have somebody like David Trone, who has been campaigning for a long time. People didn't know who he was, didn't know what he was running for. But long before the election, Trone was out with the signs and promoting, trying to get name recognition, because he didn't have name recognition a year ago. You didn't know who David Trone was a year ago, but he's been slowly spending a lot of money, millions and millions of dollars. You've seen him on YouTube ads. You've seen him Facebook ads. You've seen him on TV. You've seen him. And slowly folks are having name recognition with him. And so that's the difference maker. So a lot of times people will vote for people who have spent money campaigning and marketing to them. So name recognition, super important. Name recognition, super important. So let me see what he said. Midlife Bro Logic on YouTube says, do you believe that Thiru asked for a deal with Brandon Scott, or is Scott just lying, a scoundrel per usual? So that is exactly where I was going to go. Oftentimes in politics, there are deals. There are deals made all the time. A big part of it is deal making. So Thiru announced his decision yesterday afternoon and immediately endorsed former Mayor Sheila Dixon's campaign. Speaking to why he endorsed the former mayor, Vignarajah unleashed a tirade against Mayor Brandon Scott, alleging failed leadership, saying that there's more at stake to this election than just politics, and he just is bashing them. Thiru starts bashing them like Drake bashing Kendrick Lamar. Like it was something. He didn't have any bars or anything like that. It wasn't no beat playing, but you know what I mean? It was just, he was unloading on him. Vignarajah said that when I talk to Sheila, when I hear her hopes and dreams for the city, when I hear the kinds of people that she knows are needed in government, that's the kind of shared vision that I was excited to get behind, Vignarajah said. Spoken like a true attorney. He speaks like a true attorney. That's what he is. So he's going to be doing that slick talk. He's going to be doing that. Vignarajah said that Sheila Dixon loves the city with all her heart. She has her whole life. She has devoted herself to public service. She has devoted herself to make this city a little bit better. Now, it's interesting hearing Thiru Vignarajah say those words when you just a day earlier heard him talk about how she was, so a disgraced former mayor and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of hard when you see these politicians talking out of one side of their neck and then the next day saying something completely opposed to what they were saying before. But this is not just in Baltimore. You can see it in the presidential races, where if you look at the Republican race, all those Republicans was, trying to be president, and then all of a sudden they're endorsing Trump and the such. You heard Ron DeSantis and Trump meeting up. They were talking crazy about each other, and now they're meeting up. Now, that was months ago, right? It wasn't the day later like in the Vignarajah instance. But the early voting and the election is happening now. So Sheila Dixon needed, if she's going to get endorsement, the endorsement is valuable now. She probably would have really liked it about 3 weeks ago, but she'll take it right now. Brandon Scott's campaign has been fighting back. They've been telling news outlets, including News 11 and others, that after Vignarajah's announcement, Vignarajah had offered his endorsement to the mayor in exchange to become police commissioner or CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools. Ouch. What a way to try to take the wind out of the sails. So the Brandon Scott campaign is saying, look, this Bama is out here selling to the highest bidder. He wanted to be the police commissioner or CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools. And so here's my thing. If he wanted, let's play this out. If Thiru Vignarajah came to Brandon Scott and said, which is what politicians say, what can you do for me? I'll endorse you. What am I getting out of this? Brandon Scott could have threw him a bone, right? Could have threw him a bone, but Brandon Scott said no. I guess the relationship is so bad between the two, and he felt like some of the attacks were too personal. So he was like, man, I ain't doing nothing for you. I don't need your endorsement. Screw you. And Sheila Dixon, the veteran politician that she is, she's like, okay, maybe we could work something out. And that appears to be what has happened if we are to believe what Mayor Scott's campaign is alluding to. Now, of course, Thiru denies this, but I'm saying, let's think about this. If you're going to jump out of the race, if you've invested and you've taken donations from folks and you've got this much invested, 3 months, 4 months that he's been running, if you have that, you are going to want to know what's going to be the best use of your investment. You're going to want to know, who should I get behind? Who should I endorse? You're going to want to know that if you've put in 3 to 4 months running for mayor. So if we're playing this out, it makes sense that Thiru said, yo, what's up? What can I get for my endorsement? And Brandon Scott like, nah, we good on that. And Sheila Dixon says, I got something for you. So don't for a minute think that these politicians who just got through talking greasy about each other and then turn around and endorse each other are not getting something for their endorsements. Don't think that for a moment. We can go back to Barack Obama. When Barack Obama was running for president, Joe Biden was one of his opponents. Joe Biden was somebody that was trying to become president. Joe Biden said some borderline racist stuff about President Obama, who was then a senator, and ended up having to drop out the race. Later on, Barack Obama's like, okay, I need a vice presidential candidate. Who can I get? Who's going to help me out? And then he ended up going to Joe Biden because that made sense for him. Now, they had talked crazy about each other, but they ended up finding a common thing. Hey, let's work together and make you my, vice presidential candidate. And that's how it happens. And a lot of time, that is what it is. They're making deals behind the scenes and working things out. That in itself is not crazy to me. Somebody asks you something, okay, I'll do that for you. What's in it for me? Right? People are not doing these endorsements just for giggles. They're doing it for a reason. Everything is done for a reason. It's always business. So of course Thiru's going to deny this because this makes him look crazier than he already looked. Right? So of course he's going to deny it. Now, whether it's true or whether it's not, the part that I disagree, me and my father talked about this earlier. I said that I wish that the Scott campaign hadn't put this out there. My father said, no, people need to know, put it out there. I mean, of course he's going to deny it, right? So I'm just like, I believe in karma. So you put things out there that allegedly happened in a private conversation. And they clearly had a conversation because when Thiru was asked about what he talked about the mayor, what he talked to the mayor about, he said, I don't want to reveal personal conversations. I'm going to keep it on a down low, right? He said stuff like that, which says he didn't say, I ain't talked to the Bama. He said, I'm not going to reveal the conversation. So he didn't want to confirm or deny it, which means that they bare minimum talked. And if they didn't say the things that was being alleged, he would have said, look, I talked to him. Here's what we talked about. Or he would say, yo, I didn't say that. I didn't say that I wanted to be a police commissioner, which is crazy. I don't want to be CEO of Baltimore City Schools. I want, he would have said something like that if he didn't say those things. So they had the conversation. But my issue is, why even leak the conversation or the contents of the discussion? Because Brandon Scott's gonna feel a certain kind of way if somebody eventually leaks some stuff that he said. You know what I mean? And if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So that's what I'm saying. But regardless, the mayor's campaign told reporters that Scott and Vignarajah spoke last week and Wednesday morning, which is the morning before he made this announcement. And the mayor said he absolutely cannot do that and that he does not do backroom deals. Now, let's unpack this. Vignarajah was very vocal about calling the deal at Inner Harbor, the deal at Harbor Place, the proposal, a backroom deal. He was out there saying that the mayor's shady and doing these deals, right? So the mayor might be thinking, oh, he said these things about me. Now he's putting this on the table. Maybe he's trying to set me up. Maybe the Mayor Scott's thinking, if I tell him, yeah, I'm cool with that, then he could still run to the press and say, aha, see, Brandon Scott's crooked. He offered me blah, 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 blah. So Mayor Scott is trying to cover himself and say, look, I know I'm in politics. I know it's backroom stuff going on. I know it's shady things going on. This guy has accused me of being shady and now is proposing something that can be used or viewed as shady. And so he didn't want to do that. And so I'm thinking that is probably what happened. So do I think that they had a conversation? Yes. Do I think that they had two conversations? Yes. Do I think that it was proposed about the CEO of Baltimore City Schools or the police commissioner? Yes. Do I think that Brandon Scott brought it up? No. I think that Thiru brought it up. I think that Brandon Scott said, okay, what do you want for your endorsement? And he was like, so how when you're making a deal with somebody, you say, I don't know what you want for it or what you think is fair. So then he threw that out there. And then Thiru said, well, I don't know. I just something so I can wet my beak. Nothing too crazy. How about police commissioner? How about CEO of the Baltimore City Public Schools? Nothing crazy. And Mayor Scott was like, nah, we ain't doing that. He had to say that. So in response, Vignarajah has said that the mayor manufactures facts and figures all the time. That is a remarkable. I mean, it's just, he's going along that whole thing, and they had a private conversation, and Vignarajah is really trying to zoom in on the fact that this was a private conversation, and that the mayor is being a child and he's being petty. He did not deny the things. He just is surprised that the mayor brought these things up. Interesting. Vignarajah continued and said that he should know better than to suggest that Sheila or I would do something that maybe he does with developers, and that certainly public servants and politicians don't do. So Sheila Dixon has had her own controversies with regards to developers and backroom deals. And there have been accusations about a lot of folks and people that disagree with the politician are going to, one of the things they're going to throw out there are backroom deals and developers and, different things. But Vignarajah has denied the endorsement being for sale. And Vignarajah, when asked whether he could say he did not ask for Scott's endorsement for positions, he said that I don't talk about private conversations with principals. And that right there tells you everything that you need to know. And understand this. Bill Clinton was an attorney and had no problem lying to the American people. He said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. So an attorney will lie. Okay, so Vignarajah and any other attorney is not above lying. People are not above lying. But in this instance, for whatever reason, he said that I do not talk about private conversations with principals. Just because he's breaking that rule for the purposes of a struggling last-ditch attempt for his campaign, I'm not going to. And that tells you, yes, he did. And yes, the things that the mayor's campaign have said appear to be true, because he would have denied it. He didn't deny it. He said, I'm not going to talk about what we talked about. I'm above this, right? And this, I think, is a mistake, because Thiru Vignarajah is going to run for office again in the future. And this is going to come up. Especially if Sheila Dixon wins and Thiru is promoted to something. This is going to come up. He already seems to some people to be shady. And folks are just going to continue to say that he was shady. I don't know. I think I told this story on the show. There was a candidate forum a couple of weeks ago, and I walked in the bathroom. Thiru was in the bathroom. He was at one of the stalls. And so fellas know that if there is there were 3 stalls. He was at one. And so naturally, I skipped one stall and went to the far stall, right? And I ain't doing no conversations while I'm at the stall. So Thiru's using this, using the urine or whatever. And he finishes before me because he was already there when I walked in the bathroom. And he finished, it's one of those things you step away from the urinal and it flushes automatically. And he just walked out the door. He just walked out the bathroom. He didn't get no soap. He didn't wash his hands. He didn't do nothing. And it was just crazy. Now, outside of the bathroom, so I'm just like, I can't believe it. Because before this, I'd seen him shaking folks' hands. So I'm washing my hands, and I can hear him outside of the bathroom in the hallway talking to people. I come out the bathroom. What is he doing? He's shaking somebody's hand. It was just crazy. Random story. These kind of things happen to me all the time. But it is what it is. And whether or not he washes his hands, he is not going to be the mayor of Baltimore, at least not in 2024. So Sheila Dixon, when asked whether she received a similar offer from Thiru Vignarajah, Dixon said that Thiru and I had a personal conversation about a whole host of issues, particularly issues dealing with the crisis of the city of Baltimore, what we could do to move the city forward. That's been the extent of our conversation. That's all we talked about. So Sheila Dixon saying, in a very, very clever way, nope, I'm not going to talk about that. We talk about the city and how she could do that. But she released a full statement that said in part, this is later on, Mayor Scott has responded to today's endorsement news by pushing a false narrative regarding commitments I have allegedly made to Mr. Vignarajah. While we had conversations about issues facing the city and his desire to support my team in addressing them, I can say unequivocally that no promises were made regarding future employment with my administration. And she continued, I have a reputation of being a strong manager that brings smart people with different perspectives to the table. I appreciate Mr. Vignarajah's support today, and I look forward to working with him towards a better Baltimore. Oh, that's a lovely statement. That is a very lovely, lawyerly statement. Brandon Scott's campaign manager released a statement following that said one failed corrupt politician endorsing another failed corrupt politician is a prime example of the broken, corrupt politics of the past. Thiru's endorsement was for sale, and Sheila Dixon was more than happy to buy it. We'd expect nothing less from Sheila Dixon, who's already proven time and again, her personal interests outweigh all others. Wow. We're talking about adults here, people. This is not the rap game. This is not, but they treat this like, oh man, like the high road. These are supposed to be the folks that are leading the city. And this is how they talk. This is crazy talk. Like, I would have never, I would have never wanted to release a statement like that. It is just very, very dirty politics. The campaign of Democratic candidate Bob Wallace, he released a statement, and a statement came from his campaign, and his statement was, "Voters of Baltimore, now that Thiru Vignarajah has dropped out of the race for mayor, the voters have a clear choice between the policies and failures of the past and the promise of the future with me as mayor," talking about Bob Wallace. "We should not lose sight of the well-placed observations that Thiru made about both Brandon Scott, especially Sheila Dixon, on crime, housing, education, and most other issues confronting Baltimore City. Thiru noted that both Scott and Dixon have had a combined 40 years of experience and opportunity to solve these problems, yet they remain open wounds in the side of the citizens today." He continued, "I, Bob Wallace, am the only candidate left in the race that is not wedded and burdened by the past, as I am unbought by any special interests that have always had excessive influence in the selection of the city's leaders." This is true. This is true. And he continued, during the news conference, Dixon said that she's grateful and humble for Thiru Vignarajah's support, saying that she looks forward to working with him on his ideas, including one to create a digital tracking system for reporting issues in need of city services via 311. So we're going to talk to Bob Wallace tomorrow on the show, talk about this controversy between Thiru Vignarajah, his endorsement of Sheila Dixon, and Brandon Scott in that. And it seemed to me, what I gathered from Bob Wallace's statement was that if Thiru was going to endorse someone based on what he said during this campaign, then he would have endorsed Bob Wallace. It seems to me that's what Bob Wallace was hinting at, and that the things that he had said about both Miss Dixon and Mayor Scott were true. And it's interesting. It's an interesting time. So we have a race for mayor. We have early voting underway. We have the landscape of candidates shrinking a little bit. And Vignarajah said the timing was not lost on him when it came to his decision to drop out of the race. And he's dropped out of the race, but he is still making noise. And as a former criminal prosecutor at the federal, state, and local level, Vignarajah ran in 2017 and 2022 for the city state's attorney, and he first ran for mayor in 2020. This is Sheila Dixon's third time running for the nomination, and Bob Wallace is his second time running. So this is an interesting election. As I said earlier, Democratic candidate for mayor of Baltimore City, Bob Wallace, will be joining us on the show tomorrow. I am anxious to speak with him about all of these things and more. Tomorrow we're going to be talking to him. We're also going to be talking about potholes in Baltimore City, how to fix them, what could be done about them, what is the process. We're going to be talking about that and many things. Who should be Baltimore's next mayor? I have my suspicions, but it is up to the voters to decide. You need to go out and vote who is going to be the next mayor. On social media, I'm at the Diamond K Show. Please tell me who should be the next mayor in the comment section. djdiamondk@gmail.com. Who should be Baltimore's next mayor? Music submissions, booking, or business info, contact me, djdiamondk@gmail.com. I just dropped 2 new singles. Anywhere you get your music, one is called Decontrol. The other is called Where the Girls At, on Apple, on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your music. Just search Diamond K and you will see those releases there, plus many more. Of course, you can catch up on past episodes of the show, ONFIRE-TV.com. You have an event. Send me that flyer, djdiamondk@gmail.com, so we can post that. And maybe, depending on where your event is, maybe we even come out there and hang out at your event. So yeah, definitely support the show via PayPal, paypal.me/radio on fire, Cash App, $ the Diamond K Show. You can become a member today on ONFIRE-TV.com/join. Subscribe to the show on YouTube.com/djdiamondk. So I'll be back here tomorrow, 6 p.m. And yeah, so it's an interesting time that we live in. Okay, so what is it? So Midlife Bro Logic is saying, what is my prediction? My prediction is it's going to be a very close race. It's going to be a close race. That is my prediction. I am predicting a close race for mayor of Baltimore. That is my prediction. And I think that is, I think that's a safe bet. All right, see you guys tomorrow.